What's up guys, welcome back to the video. I am Dan and today's video is really condensing down that version of the podcast that I recorded with Mr. Aman Ailani. Again, the founder of SAH.OL Cold Brew, now in 12 stores across Massachusetts. Very impressive stuff. We're going to talk about the start of his journey in entrepreneurship, the lessons he learned in building his business, and really the advice that he has for other entrepreneurs who want to find their passion. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed it, leave some questions down in the comments section below, and subscribe. Next week, we've got a great episode with a friend of mine who is preparing his business for seed funding rounds. That's right, you're not going to want to miss it, so stay tuned and enjoy the video. Aman, how's it going? Thanks for joining.
Hey Dan, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Let's talk about SAH.OL Cold Brew. Where'd you get the name and really what is the product all about?
SAH.OL, it loosely means life in Irish. We saw that it was something really unique. It's punchy, it stands out on a shelf, and so far, that's been validated by not only grocery buyers but consumers as well. It's the way you source, roast your coffee, the way you brew it, and frankly, it's going to sound cheesy, but I think we also put a lot of love into it because I truly think it's one of the best tasting coffees I've ever had as well.
Was there an initial moment when you were a child or a kid that you thought, this is for me, or here's an idea and I'm just going to go with it?
Growing up, I tried to turn everything into a business. I could draw, I could write, so I started making comic books and selling them in the sixth grade. In the fourth grade, I realized I could paint, so I started selling my dad my own paintings. Like it was little things like that I think were indicators of what was to come in many ways. But the biggest way I think was definitely just this mindset of why can't I do it my way? Why can't I do it how I want to do it? I was from Dubai, and Dubai is known for having a really rich coffee culture. Arabian coffee pots, dark roast coffees, and dates filled every home that I was in growing up. But I never really took an interest in coffee until my freshman year of college. First semester freshman year, I was staying up late trying to study, and I needed an energy boost. Unfortunately, our on-campus coffee shop had already closed by then because it was late. So I walked over to the vending machine and I grabbed frappe type grab and go bottle from the vending machine. As I'm sure you know, those are doused in sugar. The caffeine didn't work. I had a sugar crash, and that led me to think, okay, there has to be a better option. So I looked around, and there were a few canned coffees and canned cold brews, but nothing really that I loved. I found that they were either too bitter and dark roasted, or they were too light and doused with sugar. So that brought us back to the main problem, and I thought, why can't there be a great tasting, smooth cold brew that's good enough to be drank just straight up out of the can?
Was it an immediate, I need to get this off the ground, or did it really take months and years?
For 3 years, I learned as much as I could about coffee. I knew that there was something there. I knew that there was an opportunity. I didn't know what it was, didn't know what it looked like. But for 3.5 years, I kind of just became a coffee nerd.
Yeah.
I love visiting roasters. I bought my own little cold brew maker, and I went back home and I spent the next couple of summers making my own cold brew, learning a lot about roast levels, varietal types, and too much to get into now. But I learned a lot about the science. I learned a lot of ratios and brewing yields and that stuff. And it really opened my eyes and made me realize, well, there's so much behind coffee, and it's so much bigger than just Starbucks. And it showed me that there's so much potential here. And how can we create a fun, local, homegrown brand that people can really get behind?
What did you do in terms of taking that first step, right? Because that was the catalyst to get things to start moving, right?
We incorporated, and then, the business naturally took its course. So that was the first big step. I think we eventually settled on a product that I loved, and it was that first sip moment. I took a sip and I thought, wow, this slaps. And that's the exact same coffee you're drinking right now. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with how things have turned out so far.
Yeah. So did you get accustomed to failing and kind of learning on your own? How did that work?
Any entrepreneur has to be the best in the world at handling rejection. You're going to get more no's than you could get from anything else in life.
Right.
But, you can't really let that bring you down, let that bring you out. And you have to just find a way to pick yourself back up and keep trudging along. And that's definitely taken a while to learn. I'm still learning it. No's and rejections still bum me out, but that's just the way it is. And in talking to other entrepreneurs, I know that never really gets easier. You just get better at handling it.
So what do you think the most challenging part of this business has been for you?
I was in college when I started, and not many people want to work with a college kid who has no experience.
Of course.
I've never been in the grocery industry before. There was so much industry jargon that I had no idea what it was about. Like I can name 10 terms off the top of my head, which now are just everyday terms. But when I started, I had no guide, I had no mentor, and obviously that's changed now. But it was hard. There was a very steep learning curve, and nobody really wanted to coach me along with that journey, and I had no one to coach me along. So I kind of had to learn everything the hard way. I had to learn everything by failing and by getting doors shut in my face.
How important is it for other people to also find their passion versus just going into business to try something to get that title of entrepreneur? How important is it to have that passion that you have?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough spot to be in because you don't really I wouldn't go and start a mechanical pencils company, right? Like I don't care about stationery like that. But there's probably someone out there who does. There's probably someone out there who's been collecting mechanical pencils and fixing mechanical pencils since an early age, just because they're passionate about it. So I think at the end of the day, you have to do what brings you joy. For me, what brings me joy is talking about coffee, drinking coffee, and marketing coffee. And I know that's really niche specific, but I'm talking about that in the lens of what I do. Like that's not
right.
Three things that bring me joy in life, but business-wise, I think that talking about coffee is so fun. I think that building relationships with people, aka grocery buyers, is fun. Learning more about their lives, their families. Like I'm on a first-name basis with all these stores that I'm in now, and our relationship goes way past a business relationship. And now it's like, oh, like John from this store, it was his birthday, and he's going on a vacation next week. Pay close attention to what brings you joy, and it might not be what you think it is. If running brings you joy, then pay attention to that. What about running brings you joy? Is it the community? Is it the physical endurance aspect? Is it trying to get better? Is it the data that supports running? Like that, pay attention to what brings you joy. I realized that I was happiest when I was visiting coffee shops. So I thought about that and I was like, okay, like what about it? And I think it came down to the fact that every coffee drink has a story behind it. So why can't I create my own version of that? Just start something. It doesn't have to be perfect, but done is better than perfect is a great thing that I like. Just start something. There's no way to learn until you're in the arena, right? I couldn't have learned about the grocery industry until I got into the grocery industry. So there's no amount of research or lessons or anything like that that'll be able to prepare you for what it eventually will be like. So just start.